Hello and welcome back to Cooking with Lauralee. I am Lauralee. Today we have another special collaboration. Today we will be having a dish from Italy, and I decided to make short ribs and gnocchi. Gnocchi is one of my kids' favorite ever, and I figure why not make it a special event since we will be in the Christmas holiday spirit, and I wanted to make a special dish. So be sure to always check out all of the great collaboration channels. They were all linked below, and go check them out. Say hello. You know the routine. Like, share, subscribe, and let them know I sent you. So I have made short ribs several different ways, and since we were doing this collaboration, I wanted to make it more of an Italian style. So believe it or not, I kept it pretty simple with just oregano, onion, garlic, black pepper, white pepper, and some salt. And I just seasoned it with Worcestershire sauce and a little bit of red wine, and just kind of let this sit and marinate. If you can, let it sit overnight because overnight is always the best. But as you see here, I just kind of made it and went along with it and cooked it. You want to make sure that it gets all in between that meat so you can have all that tender flavor. Go ahead and make sure that you fry that on the pan, just a little bit of oil, and it will release its natural juices and oil from the meat. It helps to set with the gravy when you're cooking in the oven. Here you'll see that I did cut up through different types of onions. I cut Vidalia onions, purple onions, and then leeks. I think that it just gives it a wonderful flavor. The only thing is I wish I would have put a little bit more garlic, but I am a garlic person. But I had about maybe 1 or 2 tablespoons of garlic in here. And you'll see I have fresh tomatoes, but also sun-dried tomatoes. I love sun-dried tomatoes. And then you see I have a little bit of the basil just to kind of keep it with the Italian flavors. And my understanding is with Italian dishes, there's very, very, very simple dishes. But this is my take on short ribs and gnocchi. I have to keep it Italian with some Italian wine. And on top, I just added a little bit more of the seasonings. Like I said, I wish I would have used more fresh garlic, so I just ended up using a little bit more garlic powder on top. And here you just don't, this is just such a wonderful piece of meat. You don't want to under-season the meat. It looks like a lot, but it's actually not. And again, it will give it a nice little crust on top. And so since I did have a lot of short ribs, I had to separate them in 2 different pans. You'll see me repeating the steps here. And usually when I do make short ribs, I don't use tomatoes. I don't use any type of puree tomatoes, but because again we're keeping it Italian, I've decided to make it this way. As I was going to make this video, I said to myself, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and make a salad that is similar to the one at Olive Garden. But guess what? I forgot my dressings, and so I figured let me just make my own dressing. I've made my own dressings years ago, and it's been a while, so this is what I came up with. I was a little bit off on the oil to acid ratio, but like I said, I just kept working with it until I got the right taste that I was looking for. The other thing is make sure that when you do your own dressing, make sure that you have a delicious or very good olive oil. The one I had was pretty good, but I personally like Bertolli the best. Just really yummy, yummy, yummy flavor. So if I ever was to repeat this, I would use a different oil. I bought this particular oil thinking that it was Bertolli, and when I came home, I noticed that it was something very different. So again, I ate it several days after, and it tasted very well. And again, with salad dressing, the longer that it sits there together and marinates, the better it is. And And yes, I understand and know that real Italians do not consider Olive Garden real Italian food, but it is very Americanized. And so every time I think about Italian food, you can't help but to think about the Olive Garden. So again, that was a little bit of the inspiration as well. And for the purpose of this video, you'll see that I made the salad, went ahead and put the salad dressing aside. So you don't want dressing to be soaking into your salad. Just put it aside until you're ready to eat it. Or have your dressing at the very bottom of the salad. And then when you have your container, like if you have a to-go container or something like that, then you can just shake it, coat it with the dressing until you're ready to eat. That avoids all the sogginess that can come with salad dressings. And here you see that I baked the potatoes. Ever since I've made gnocchi, it's been about 2 years, I've never boiled the potatoes. I always put them in the oven. I put them in the oven because I feel like it releases those natural starches and it's not too moist so that it's not super sticky when I work with it. Here I've let the potatoes cool down a little bit too much. I wanted them a little bit warmer, but they were almost very cold to the touch by the time I got around. The potatoes just made it easy for me to peel back the skin. And then I used my KitchenAid to help kind of just loosen those potatoes so that they could be nice and fluffy. You can use other equipment, but I had this on hand and it was the quickest way for me to go ahead and be able to get the potatoes shredded without getting too gummy. I was able to season the potatoes. I cooked just only one batch and that was about 12 cups. And usually I just use the yolk, but today I decided to use all 4 eggs. And I just wanted to see how it would come out, and it still came out very well. And you can see I kind of layer the flours there so that things will not get super sticky. And just kind of play with it. I didn't over mix it. It ended up taking me about 2 to 5 minutes to kind of get this going. And then I quickly kind of just put it together and then cut them up and then let them sit a little bit in the powder so that they won't get sticky, and then let them kind of set up a little bit. The first time I ever done that, I didn't, and it was kind of sticking together, but I just kind of let them sit like that for maybe 5 minutes, and then when I was ready to cook them, they came out perfectly. They float all the way to the top when they were done, and they were not sticking together. And gnocchi is a great dish to make together with your family. I know my kids always love when we do this together. This particular day, I just did it just to kind of get it done, but they always enjoy and look forward to doing that. That aside, anytime they know we're gonna have gnocchi or I surprise them with gnocchi, they are super excited and appreciative of the meal, and it does not last long. It doesn't matter how much I make. Sometimes I make double, triple batches, and it just doesn't last very long. They just eat them all the time, so I can't complain as long as the food is not being wasted. So that's really all that I care for. And if you all know me well and have been watching me for a while, you know that I'm not a baker. I don't like to bake. There's just certain things I stick with when I bake. But something like this usually makes me feel a little bit overwhelmed, and this is super, super therapeutic for me. So I highly recommend. I hope you like my recipe. And as always, make your own. I'll change up the ingredients, but again, I kept it very basic. Other times when I make gnocchi, I add other vegetables like broccoli and more garlic. But like I said, I want to kind of just keep it kind of simple during this time because that is done in some of the Italian cooking. So again, I don't think I was able to, I thought I recorded it, but I didn't. But these gnocchis were done. They're probably cooked about 2 to 3 minutes. And like I mentioned before, they kind of float to the top. Your gnocchi should be soft like little pillows. If they're hard, then you might have put too much flour, or you must have kneaded it too much. You kind of just want to not over mix it, just kind of lightly mix it until everything comes together. And here you can have this recipe without any white sauce, and just the juices from the vegetables will be enough. I actually bought Alfredo, added some basil and just a couple of touches, and then added to the gnocchi along with the roasted vegetables that came from the short ribs. It was absolutely delicious. And then we also share with our VZ family. Cooking the short ribs on the stove took me about 20 minutes. Like I mentioned, that I browned them. I was able to cook them for 2 hours, and look how tender they came out. It was at, I believe, 400 that I cooked them in, and they were just absolutely delicious. Super, super tender. So I hope you guys all enjoy my recipe. I hope that you make your own and try your different things that you may want to add in here. But this is my interpretation of my, can we say, American Italian style for ribs and gnocchi.